Well, hello everybody. Cheryl Pace here. Happy New Year. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. Since it is the time of resolutions and goals, I thought that today it would be a great time to talk about goals. I was listening to a message by Earl Nightingale the other day, and I had planned on coming on today. I almost didn't in light of the sudden death of my friend, John. However, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's very appropriate, actually, because John was a person with huge goals. John was born with cerebral palsy. And when he was born, his mother wasn't quite sure how to care for him. So she sent him to a group home in Ohio. Somehow or other, he ended up down here in Florida in another group home and was going to a local church, and that's where I met John. We became instant friends. He was handsome. He has this beautiful smile, so cheerful and friendly and positive. It was just impossible not to like him. And, it was easy to forget that he had a disability. John couldn't speak. I mean, he could, but not very well. He couldn't stand. He was in a wheelchair. But he had this way of communicating by pointing to letters on a board. And he was determined. If he had something to tell you, he wouldn't give up. Very determined guy. Pretty soon, once I got to know him better, he didn't even really need to use the board so much because I knew what he was trying to tell me. But John dreamed big. He had big goals. He wanted to be independent. Now, in my mind, I was kind of wondering how in the world he'd be able to do that. But that was his goal. And I don't know how he did it, but he made it come true. He ended up moving to Tampa, living in an apartment. He got a job working at the Museum of Science and Industry. He was one determined guy. He made his dream a reality. He did not let any excuses or outside circumstances determine what he could or could not do. He is an inspiration, which brings me to the message that I had planned on talking to you about today. Earl Nightingale was an author and a radio speaker. Love his voice. And I was listening to his message. So basically what I wanted to tell you is a brief summary of what he said. He really was wondering why some people are successful and why it seems like success comes easy to them, and other people, no matter what they do, it just doesn't seem to be able to achieve anything. So he did some research, and he found that if you took 100 men and asked them at age 25 if they thought they were going to be successful, they would all say that they were going to be successful. Eager, just ready to make it. And by age 65, 1 would be rich, 4 would be financially independent, 5 would still be working, and 54 would be broke. So what happened? Only 5% made it. He realized that the people who were successful had a predetermined goal. Some people are not successful because we conform to the other 54% without even really knowing why. The opposite of courage isn't cowardice, it's conformity. So in order to be successful, you have to have a predetermined goal. Teachers who decide they want to teach and they teach their whole life, they're successful. Moms who decide they want to stay home with their kids and raise them and do a good job at it, they're successful. Those are the successful people in the world. So Earl kept digging. He was trying to figure out the key. And what he found was very simple. We become what we think. We become what we think. It's very simple. Okay, think of this. Think of this in terms of goals. Think of a ship trying to leave the harbor. There is a captain. There's a crew. There's a destination. They know where they're going. They know how long it's going to take. And 999,000 times out of a million, that ship is going to get where it's going. because they knew what was going on. They knew where they were going. But then take another ship. There's no captain. There's no crew. There's no destination. We just start the engine and let it go. Where do you think that ship is going to end up? Well, probably beached somewhere if it doesn't sink first, because it has no destination. It has no guidance. The secret to success and to failure is that we become what we think about. You know, all the great wise men, philosophers, teachers, prophets, they disagreed on so many things, but they all agreed unanimously on this one thing, that we become what we think about. Norman Vincent Peale, who was a preacher way back in the day, said if you think in negative terms, you will achieve negative results. And if you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. Basically, believe and you will succeed. So it stands to reason that a person with concrete goals is going to achieve them, because that's what he's thinking about. And you become what you think about. It's pretty cool when you think of it. Conversely, a man who does not have a goal or direction is filled with worry and anxiety, and that's what his life is going to turn out to be. Frustrating. If he thinks about nothing, guess what? He becomes nothing. So how does it work? This is a great analogy, okay? Think of a farmer with some land. The land doesn't care what you plant, right? You can dig a little hole, plant a seed of corn, cover it up. You can plant poison ivy, whatever. Plant the seed, cover it up, nurture it, water it, take care of it. They're both going to grow, right? They're both going to grow because the land returns what's planted. It doesn't care. It will return poison as abundantly as it will corn. And the human mind is the same, even though it's far more complicated, far more intricate. It doesn't care what we plant in it, right? It doesn't care. So if we plant goals, if we plant positivity, that is what is going to be returned. You know, it says in the Bible, you will reap what you sow. All right, so why don't people use their minds more? Well, I think you'll agree with me, because we're given our mind at birth. It's free. We tend to value things that we spend a lot of money on, and we don't value things that come to us for free. But really, it's the opposite that's true. Everything that's worthwhile in life has come to us for free. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams and ambitions, the love of our family. Possessions can be replaced. But the things we got for free can never be replaced. We take our minds for granted. Well, John didn't take his mind for granted because he wasn't given the same body we were given. His didn't work the same. So he used his mind for amazing things, and we can too. We just have to decide now what we want. Sometimes that's the biggest hurdle. We have to decide what we want. You know, Sir Isaac Newton came up with a law of gravity, and it works every time, right? And he also said that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, whatever we do, we can't attain anything unless we put in the work. Okay, so it's not some mystical, magical thing. We make a goal. It doesn't just come to us. We have to work for it. So he suggests that we do a 30-day experiment. And I think that it's pretty cool. First, what you have to do is this, though, before you start the experiment. You have to understand emotionally and intellectually that we become what we think about. You have to understand that. And we have to control our thoughts. As ye sow, ye shall reap. Okay, we also have to permit our mind to dream big. Sometimes we just don't dream big enough. Third of all, we have to use all of our courage to force ourselves to think positively on our own challenge. And we have to think about it from all different angles. We don't need to figure out or worry about how it's going to happen. That will all work out for itself. We just need the courage to think that nothing is going to stand in the way. And then of course, if an opportunity arises, we have to act quickly. Don't sit around thinking, I wonder if I'm supposed to. Yes, you are. Okay. All right. And he also encourages whatever money you make, save 10% of every dollar you earn. All right. So here's the important points. You become what you think about. Use your imagination, dream big. Use your courage, concentrate on your goal every single day. Save 10% of every dollar you earn. And take action. Okay. Ideas are worthless unless we take action. So here's your 30-day test. Everyone has something that they want. Everyone. And they also have something that they're afraid of. Okay. So think about the thing that you want. It can be a higher salary, a harmonious family, a bigger house. Think about what you want. Write it down on a little note card and carry that note card around with you. Look at it several times a day. When you look at it in a relaxed way, in a cheerful and positive way. Look at it first thing when you wake up and the last thing when you go to sleep. Okay? All right. And then remember that you become what you think about. So your goal is right around the corner. Okay? All right. Then, also you have to form a new habit because everyone is afraid of something. So what you have to do is you have to stop thinking about what you fear. You have to. So anytime a fearful thought comes in, replace it with a positive and worthwhile goal. Difficult, but not impossible. All right. It's easier to think negative than it is positive. That's why only 5% are successful. So don't you want to change that? I know I do. All right. So during the 30-day challenge of looking at your card, thinking about your goals every single day, do more than you have to. Okay. Do more than you have to. Give of yourself more than ever because you need to remember that your return in life is in direct proportion to what you give. All right. And then think of the words of the Sermon on the Mount. Stick it on your mirror if you need to. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open. Don't let outside circumstances determine where you end up. It doesn't work that way. Anytime you're thinking of excuses, think of my friend John. That's what I'm going to do. All right? I hope that you got something out of this message today. If you did, please give me a little comment, a thumbs up. Share it with someone you think might benefit from it. And you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.